Late July, early August is almond blossom time in Adelaide. The sudden profusion of their white flowers signalling the end of winter and the imminent return of springtime. Like the much more famed cherry blossoms in Japan, the delicate snowy petals of the almond trees were once admired and lauded in South Australia. Although often referred to as a nut, the almond is not a true nut. It is the seed of the tree, which is closely related to the peach. Almond trees originated in the mountains of Armenia, Azerbaijan and Iran, and were one of the first cultivated fruit trees, probably prior to 3000 BC. The original plant, Prunus fensliana, from which modern almonds develop, still grows wild there, but the seeds have a high cyanide content and can be risky to eat. The first almond trees in South Australia were planted on Kangaroo Island in 1836. The centre of almond growing in South Australia was initially around Marion, to the south of Adelaide, but in the post-World War II years, the gardens and orchards began to disappear under new suburban homes, when the centre shifted further south to the southern vales around Willunga. South Australia's Mediterranean-style climate suits the trees admirably. In the 1930s and 40s, local people and tourists from around Australia would drive their cars or catch bus tours to admire the trees in their floral magnificence. A loop down Marion Road onto Sturt Road and then to Diagonal Road past numerous orchards. The journal of the head teacher of the Sturt Primary School, which formerly occupied land off Norfolk Road in Marion, mentions that on the 6th of August 1947 he left the school to welcome some interstate visitors on an almond blossom tour. Funds were raised for the school and the Red Cross from the sales of Devonshire teas, almonds, sultanas and homemade biscuits by women at the local Institute Hall. After the suburbs replaced the farms, many home gardens featured one or more almonds amongst their fruit trees. Despite a few remnant trees that still remain on the side of the road and in gardens, this piece of horticultural history is all but gone and forgotten in Marion today. While almonds had been grown in the southern vales around Willunga, particularly after World War I, it was only after 1946 that they began to be planted in greater numbers. Back then, 20 acres of trees could provide a family with a livable income, with the nuts picked manually. Fruit orchards, mostly almond, increased from 780 acres to 2,210 acres from 1940 to 1969. With the trees came the tourism. Willunga had held an annual agricultural show beginning in 1855, with displays of stock and produce, ploughing matches, brass bands and sideshows. This show ceased in 1968, to be replaced in 1969 by the Almond Blossom Festival, held in late July until 2019. There are still large numbers of almond trees in the area, but many were pulled out during the 1990s to be replaced by more profitable grapevines for the making of wine. The almond industry moved again to the riverland in eastern South Australia and to the farmlands north of Adelaide. In 2019, Australia was the 7th largest producer of almonds in the world and the largest in the southern hemisphere, with 75,000 metric tonnes harvested. In folklore, branches from an almond tree were given as a gift of love in ancient times. To the Greeks, the almond was symbolic of love. The Romans showered newlyweds with almonds. Almonds have been eaten as an aphrodisiac, validated by modern research, which showed the high vitamin E counters low testosterone. Eating almonds before drinking alcohol is said to avert hangovers. Climbing an almond tree is said to bring luck, and eating almonds before a business deal would ensure a prosperous outcome.